Story time about how my roommate of 1 month tried to kill me. If you don't like people screaming or you're wearing headphones, warning.
Hey! Answer the fucking door because my mom wants to call the cops on me because answer the fucking door!
So I'm gonna give a little bit of backstory before I get into the videos. If you just want to see the videos, then skip to here. So basically how I wound up with this girl, my best friend at the time who I was moving in with, texted me like a couple weeks before he moved in and asked if we could sign this other girl onto our lease. I agreed, knew nothing about her, thought it'd be fine, trusted my friend at the time. Once I agreed, didn't know anything, hadn't heard from anybody, I find out 2 weeks before we move in that this girl is a raging alcoholic, is on either probation or parole or something for something with alcohol, and likes to get drunk and kick people's doors in. So, I don't know about you, I personally think that's something that should have been included before she signed the fucking lease, but I guess not. So after finding this out, I was a little bit worried. I moved in a week before my other roommates did, so I was already here, had all my stuff moved in, had been here, we had been like drinking, whatever. So I had like a bottle of alcohol sitting on the counter. I didn't think that that was an issue. I was newly 21 at this point. This girl was like 26, I think. Anyway, I had a bottle of alcohol that was sitting on the counter when they moved in, and she decides to come in literally within like 2 minutes of walking through the door, drinks most of my bottle. I don't know this girl at all, so I thought this was absolutely fucking bonkers. I don't know. Then it turned into she would sneak into my room and drink my alcohol that was in my room or in my closet, and then the alcohol out here we would have to hide from her. And then basically we were having like interventions with her once a week because she was a raging alcoholic that we didn't fucking know about and had a severe drinking problem and was hammered literally any chance she got. So we would sit her down and have these like mini intervention things on the couch, and we would talk for like 3 or 4 hours and really think we got through to her, and the next day she would wake up and be like, oh, what happened? Like, what happened last night? I don't remember anything. What? Anyway, so the day that all this went down, I'd already had problems with her. I told her to stop touching my shit. Like, I don't know you. It's not yours. You haven't paid me back for anything. You're supposed to be a recovering alcoholic. Like, stop drinking my shit, you know? Also, like, I understand. I have sympathy for people that have problems like that, and I did my best to keep things, like, kept out of plain sight for her to take. But you moved into a college apartment, not a fucking halfway house. I shouldn't have to babysit you. Anyway, the day that this all went down, I came home, had already had a bad day. I walk over to, like, the bathroom to see what she's doing. She is an entire bottle of fucking Jose Cuervo Deep, dyeing her hair red. Looked like a murder scene, literal hair dye everywhere. All of the bathroom, the shower was pink. So I was pissed off because we're gonna have to pay for this shit when she moves out. So I ended up leaving and I went and hung out with my other roommate at her job. Hung out there for like an hour or two, whatever. We were just shit talking, you know. I come home and open the fridge and see that my bottle of wine that I was planning on drinking was completely empty and refilled with water. Once again, I know it's just alcohol, but it's the premise. Like, I'm not a fucking idiot. So I ended up confronting her. I went and knocked on her door. I'll just show the video. I'm fucking done with this. If you drink my shit one more time, I'm going to the office. I'm fucking done. I'm trying to be lenient and help you out, but you are fucking using us, and I'm done. Get your shit together, dude. Yes, you don't. So, after I confronted her, I went to my room and locked the door and planned on just sitting there being pissed off the rest of the night, you know? Well, about 2 minutes later, she is banging on my door, threatening to kill me, saying, like, let me pay you back, fuck you, I hope you die, basically.
All good and night long, and all I do is dye my hair when I fucking got home. You have nothing fucking saying besides that, because you've been on top of everything fucking else, right?
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So at this point, I'm like freaking out. This girl is literally off her rocker. I had no way out. We had like a screen that like you can't get out of the window at this apartment. So I started my iPad to take a 45-minute long video of this whole fiasco while I called someone and they walked me through like kicking. I had to kick the screen out to get out of my room. So my iPad was running, getting all this on video. I run out to my car. I'm in a bra and shorts. And I go out to the car and I call the cops because what else are you supposed to do? While this is happening, I have people telling me not to do that because she's on parole or probation or whatever, and I could get her in trouble. Whoop-de-fucking-do, stop stealing my shit, then. I also think it's worth noting that she was on the phone with her mom telling her that I was forcing her to drink, she wants to be sober, I forced her to buy me alcohol and don't pay her back. Just all the typical lies that you hear from someone like this. So here's some of what was going on while I was outside talking to the cops.
Open the fuck up and tell me what I owe you, bitch, since you think I owe you shit, and then I'll pay you and that's it. You got 5 fucking seconds before I come fucking credit card it. 1, 2, 3. Okay, I'm credit carding your door. You asked for it. Fucking children! You better open the door because my mom's about to flip shit, Kate. So open the door, fucking.
So as I'm outside, like, explaining to the cops what is going on, he decides to walk up to my window. We're on the first story, like, right next to the parking lot. So he walks up to my door and, like, peeks in, shining his flashlight, like, looking around. And she credit cards my door again.
Guess what? Your door gets credit carded until you want to fucking talk about these things. Because I'm not doing this fucking shit. Kate! Where the fuck are you?
Because she couldn't, like, kick it open. And the cop is literally standing there and says, "What are you doing?" And she says, "Who the fuck are you?" And he says, "The cops. We got called. Who, like, what are you doing?" And she looks dead at the cop and says, "Well, I don't know. Where's Kate? I'm gonna fucking kill this bitch." So at this point, the cop calls back up because we're dealing with force. So the other cops come in and we're trying to figure out what's going on. They came in. She's acting completely sober, like she hasn't been doing anything. "Oh, I've just been sitting in my room all night. I haven't done anything at all, officer." The cops aren't falling for her shit. Thank God, because I showed them a little snippet of what had been going on. So they end up barricading her onto one side of our kitchen entryway so that me and my roommate can walk in and get our stuff and leave, because the options they gave us was we leave and we stay somewhere else for the night, or she goes to jail. And it was up to me. And at this point, I already had people apparently on the phone saying they were gonna come beat my ass if I press charges. So I was too scared to press charges. Looking back now, God, I wish I would have. So we come in, pack our stuff. She's, like, still trying to act sober in front of the cops, but is simultaneously trying to, like, lunge at us across the kitchen. Also, worth noting, before we went inside, the cop asked me if she was schizophrenic. So that tells you what we were dealing with here. So we ended up going and staying somewhere else that night, and I had already planned, like, the cops gave me a card and told me I need to have her evicted because this was technically breaking and entering because I pay for my own room, and she had no problem coming in, stealing my shit, drinking my alcohol, and then kicking my door down or credit carding it to get in to probably kill me if she would have gotten to me. My plan was to go talk to the office the next day. So we end up staying at a friend's house, wake up the next morning to a text that says, "Where are you guys? What happened last night? LOL." Are you fucking... Beyond me. So I was raging at this point. We were avoiding plates as much as possible. I don't remember if she left or if she was still here, but, like, we were just avoiding the apartment at this point. So she ended up sending a bunch of texts saying that, like, she was moving out. We needed to sit down and have an adult conversation. And I replied and I said, "I'm not sitting down with you and having an adult conversation considering you tried to fucking kill me the last time I did that." So she was, like, calling me childish, whatnot. She ended up moving out, packed her shit and left. I hope she's doing well. Honestly, I don't really fucking care anymore. If you're that age and acting like that, if you have problems like that, if you know that you can't be in an environment like this, be a grown adult and fucking make decisions that will better you instead of putting your shit on everybody else. that's all I have to say on this. Hope you enjoyed if you made it this far. I'm still fucking traumatized.
Here's the story of how my freshman year roommate bullied me to the point that I almost transferred out of my school. I really heavily debated telling the story, but at the same time, it's my story to tell, and she silenced me literally the entire time that I knew her. So I went to a college 3.5 hours away from my house, and when I first went there, I only knew a couple older people, and they weren't living in the freshman dorm, so I had to go random. I was given a random dorm. I got really lucky. My dorm was huge, and I was also given a random roommate. That roommate ended up dropping out within 5 days of us moving in. So now I am alone in a huge room, and my RA is starting to DM me and ask me, okay, so there's a lot of girls on your floor right now that aren't getting along with their roommates. Would you be willing to room with one of them? And I was like, no, I want the room to myself. At this point, it's about 2 to 3 weeks into college, and I had already made a friend group. None of these girls lived in the same quad that I was in. They lived on a different part of campus. One of which, she lived in a single that was in a suite. And now this is the roommate that this story's about. We're gonna call her Anna. Every single day, my RA is DMing me saying, okay, I'm looking for a new replacement for your roommate. Your room needs to be filled. It cannot be a single. And Anna is telling me and all my friends that we had already made that she hates her suite mates. They're being really rude to her. She's having a hard time because her suite was literally the size of a closet. All of us are getting along great. Anna seems to really want to leave this room, so I asked my RA if she can move into my room. By mid-September, Anna is officially living with me. We had a bunch of our guy friends help move her into my quad, into my room, and it seemed awesome. When she moved into my room, we were having a great time. I finally had someone to talk to almost 24/7. We had very similar class schedules. We were majoring in the same thing, so it seemed like we were really getting along great. And our friends that we all made, they would come to our room all the time. A lot of our friends were on sports teams, and we had the room that was really close to the staircase to lead to the athletic center, so everyone would stop by. It was so much fun. We even got a hamster together, and that hamster lived for almost 4 years. I'm the kind of friend where if I have a friendship with someone, we can make fun of each other here and there, but it's not to the point that it becomes insult humor. Because I don't find insult humor funny. I find it extremely hurtful when it continues over and over again. So when Anna moved into my room, she automatically started pointing out the fact that all of her items were pretty dark colored, navy blue, dark green, black, and my stuff was all pink and purple because I love pink and purple. She made it a point to tell me that my stuff was too girly and that she has the cooler stuff because it's darker and more mysterious. That was the first moment where I was like, why does it matter? Why are you making a point to make fun of my things with the guys around? She would specifically really make fun of me when there was boys around. At first I thought that this was a joke, so I was like, oh, I don't know, I just bought it at Marshall's, whatever. Now fast forward to October, and these snide remarks start becoming so consistent that I start to pick up on the fact that she's just being extremely mean to me. Anna had a long-term boyfriend that she had from back home. I was single and I was just having the college experience. So whenever I would go out, and Anna prided herself on the fact that she hated going out, so I would go out with the other girls in our friend group and I would have a great time. I was really enjoying the fact that I was able to go party with them. I really liked, having the college experience. And Anna would make fun of me for that. She would wake up the next morning after I would go out and she'd be like, all right, what nonsense did you cause last night? Or she would love to say oh, what ugly boy gave you interest or attention last night? And I would stand up to her and then she would just come back with something so nasty. One time she told me that my hair looked terrible in a ponytail, and I actually didn't wear my hair in a ponytail for way after this friendship ended. But I told her, listen, that's not funny. I actually really worked hard on this hairstyle. And she goes, yeah, well, that's why your mom doesn't love you. What? The most hurtful thing that this girl did was comment on the fact that her relationship with her mother was so much better than mine with my mother. Because at this point, me and my mom were just really not seeing eye to eye. I really didn't call her often. We just had a little bit of distance. This was something extremely personal that I did share with Anna because she lived with me and she saw me, upset about the situation. We had a lot of heart-to-heart moments where I would tell her something personal and then she would go around and turn it around against me. So I shared with her that I was having a hard time with my mom, and she specifically went out of her way in front of the entire friend group when they were over in my room to point out that her mom was coming into town and they were going to have a wine night. My parents did not let me drink underage. In front of everyone, she goes, yeah, well, my mom loves me and we're having a wine night. Your mom hates you and she doesn't let you do anything. This was so insanely hurtful to me, and I know that in this situation, everyone else around was just like, what? Standing up to this girl just made this situation so much worse, and every time that I voiced my opinion on what she was saying, she would just come back with something so much nastier. Anytime I would go out or I had a low-cut top, it was always, oh my god, your boobs are so small, you're so hideous, no one's ever gonna love you because you have no boobs. And she would put me down almost every single time that I wanted to go out. End of October was parents' weekend, and I decided to invite my parents and my little brother. I said, listen, there's supposed to be a football game, there's supposed to be a lot of fun, all of my friends are inviting their parents, and I specifically made it a point to tell Anna, we need to get all the alcohol out of the room. My parents are very against it. They will be really upset if they see it in the room. I drilled this into this girl's head. I think for the entire week leading up to parents' weekend, I was telling her every single day, make sure we're limiting it, make sure we're getting it out. And she would just come back and be like, oh my God, you're so annoying. You've already said this 30 times. Finally, it's the day before parents' weekend, and Anna's mom and dad, I believe, came into town. I met them both. They were so sweet. So I don't know how they raised this absolute monster, but I deep cleaned the room. Anna cleaned a little bit. I was usually the one that was doing most of the cleaning. I made sure that all of the visible alcohol that I could find was out of the room and gone. Anna loved these giant pink Smirnoff screwdrivers, and she had a mini fridge that she contributed to the room, and it was on my side of the room. I didn't use it often, but it was still there, and it was my mistake for not checking it, because when my parents showed up, they start going through my room. They think that it's, you know, a really nice setup. This was their first time seeing my room since they moved me in before the previous roommate dropped out. So the room was completely different than the last time that they saw it. And one of the first things my dad does is open up the mini fridge. And what does he find? Anna's screwdriver right in the middle. When I saw that, I just had a feeling that there was malicious intent behind her leaving that bottle in there, because I made it so unbelievably clear that we needed to take all of it out. And it was still in there. And I know for a fact she was the one that cleaned out the fridge because it was technically her fridge. And my parents lost their minds. I explained to them that it wasn't mine. They were extremely upset with me, and parents' weekend was completely destroyed. My mom was like really upset with me to the point that she like almost barely spoke to me. And finally, after a couple of hours of us just being really tense and just awkward around each other, I told them to go home. So after they left, we got into a really big argument. It was a very nasty end of the situation. I confronted Anna and I told her, listen, why was this in there? I told you so many times to get it out. And yes, I could have checked, but it completely slipped my mind. I was focusing on the rest of the room. She blew it back in my face and said, well, it's your fault for not checking it since you were so obsessed with all of it being out of the room. And then she made fun of my parents and I for getting into an argument and told me how great of a time she's having with her mom and how I will never have that because my parents don't love me. And then this bullying just escalated into a daily offense. I had a communal shower in my hall where I lived, and I would specifically go into that shower and spend over 2 hours in it when I knew that Anna was in our room. I was trying to avoid her, and then she would spin it on me and tell all the guys that we were friends with that I stink so bad that I have to take such long showers. And everyone would make fun of me for taking these long showers, which it only takes me about 10 minutes to like really shower. I was sitting in there for over 2 hours, sometimes upwards of 3, just to avoid her. So Thanksgiving break is coming up. At this point, we're at the end of November, and I'm freaking out the weeks leading up to it because I don't want to go home. Like I said, me and my parents were in tense waters. We weren't really getting along, so I did not want to go home for Thanksgiving break, but my school mandates you to go home. So as I'm voicing my concerns to Anna and telling her that I'm really stressed out to go home, she would just laugh at me and say, well, you're just a terrible daughter because who wouldn't want to see their family for Thanksgiving? And then she would tell me how excited she is for Thanksgiving, how her family's so perfect, how she hates college and how she hates the dorm food and how she is so excited to get real food, and just telling me how awesome her life is and just how perfect it's going to be for Thanksgiving, like rubbing it in my face. We go home for Thanksgiving. I had a terrible time. I just wanted to go back to college almost the entire time. And when I came back, she was so angry to see me. She's like, oh my God, the break was so short. I'm really upset to see you. I don't want to look at you. Like, go away. Basically just like shooing me away. And I was just so excited to be back. So she like diminished my happiness almost. Leading up to Christmas break, we start hearing about COVID because my freshman year, I was in college the fall 2019 going into spring 2020. That was my freshman year. Once again, Christmas break is coming up now, and I'm super upset because I don't want to go home. I was in this one psychology class with Anna, except we had different times, but the same professor, and I was doing absolutely terrible in this class. This professor was insanely harsh. So when she would ask me what I got on a test and we would compare our scores, she would call me stupid and that I'm going to fail out of college and not amount to anything. This girl was actually insane now that I'm like telling the story. Honestly, the break was really nice because I actually got to spend some time at home. I worked a little bit, and as much as I didn't like spending time at home, I was away from Anna. So we come back, and now speculations of COVID are really starting to get more and more concerning. I'm telling everyone, oh my gosh, I am so nervous for COVID. I really don't want this to happen. I don't want to get sent home. I hate going home. Once again, Anna's coming in saying that I'm a terrible person. And finally, it's the weekend before COVID sends us all home. I was dying to go out with the other girls in our friend group and some of the guys, and I was ready to go, and Anna literally did not let me leave the room. She made me stay in, and to this day, I regret not standing up to her. But I was scared of her, and I don't blame myself. Anna left before anyone else, and she literally just threw all of her things into a truck and left. No goodbye, no nothing. I had to text her to tell her, hey, listen, did you leave? She was like, yeah, I'm actually on my way home. And she turned around and finally came back to say goodbye. Like, she was just gonna up and leave and like not say anything. I never saw her again after that. I ended up cursing her out over Snapchat a couple weeks later because she was being absolutely rude to me and I just had it. She sent me a text recently trying to like rekindle and like tell me how much she misses me. I didn't answer, and that's where the story ends.
I moved to New York 6 years ago, so I've had a ton of different roommates, and now that I'm finally moving out on my own, I can tell you about the worst one I've ever had. So I met this girl through a mutual friend, and she was really nice, and we ended up both having to move at like the exact same time, so we thought, perfect, let's just move in together. I was really fooled because I didn't realize at the time that you don't actually know someone until you live with them. At first we had the best time hanging out, but slowly I started to notice that something was a little off. The first red flag was that she liked to come in my room every day to say good morning, but she wouldn't be wearing pants and she would be like scratching herself, so it'd be like, hey, good morning. And then she would touch stuff in my room and it grossed me out so bad, but I didn't know how to bring it up to her without being offensive. And the longer we lived together, the more comfortable she got. Like every day when I would come home, she would be sitting on the couch just like picking her toes. I also found some of her personal items in the couch. You can guess what they are, but they should not be there. Also, she would meet a bunch of guys on Tinder, which I'm not judging her for that, but she would bring them over and not tell me. So I would wake up in the morning and go to the bathroom and there would be a random man in there. Unfortunately, when you live in New York, sometimes you get creatures in your apartment, and we constantly had roaches, bed bugs, and mice. And this girl was so dirty, like she would literally just drop an entire slice of pizza on the floor and just leave it there. I politely asked her if she could stop leaving food on the ground for the mice to come, and you know what she says to me? Oh, but I like the mice, they're cute. Like, huh? So that right there was the last straw for me, and I just moved out as soon as I could.
As a Christian, be careful what you watch, be careful what you listen to, and be careful what you engage in. There should be no debate. Christians don't need to be going to watch the Sinners movie. And what happened to me and my roommate 2 nights ago is a perfect example why. So as I was pre-parting my hair, which you know can take a long time, I'm like, okay, let me put something on to watch. So I'm like, okay, Criminal Minds come up. I grew up watching Criminal Minds. If you know about Ion Television, you know. And looking back on it, now I know that it was the Holy Spirit, but in my spirit I felt, no, you shouldn't watch that because it's not good for you at this time of night. Mind you, it was about 12 o'clock. So I get in bed, my 2 roommates come in, it's about 2 a.m. I'm sorry, I don't know why I'm saying o'clock. It was about 2 a.m. We get in bed. I'm usually super alert when I'm asleep because I do have the gift of dreams, so there be many attacks and many crazy things happening all throughout my sleep. But this time I was not. I was fast asleep. I had my Bible playing on my phone, and I'm just having a dream, lollygagging, right? Next thing I know, I hear snapping. A whole bunch of snapping, right? So I turn around. My roommate is on the floor, nailed down, just snapping my shoe rack. Mind you, it's 4 o'clock in the morning at this time. So my shoe rack had previously been broken. So my assumption off a quick wake up was to say, I'm gonna call her Kimmy for this video, to say, oh no, Kimmy, it's okay, because I thought maybe she got out of her bed, she used the bathroom and tripped over my shoe rack and was picking up my shoes. No, that was not the case. As I see her snapping, because my shoe rack is wood, as I see her snapping my shoe rack, I said, hey Kimmy, is everything okay? Because that's my shoe rack. No response. So I'm like, Kimmy, is everything okay? Because that's my shoe rack. When I tell you this girl is kneeling down like this, she acts like she's taking her headphone off. She looks at me like this and she says something like, I can't remember the first thing she said, but I'm definitely going to tell you the second thing she said. She said, no, I'm just getting it. And then she stands up. And the reason I mentioned the shows or the music or what you intake is because if I had watched Criminal Minds, I would have had the spirit of fear in me, and I could have reacted to the situation way differently. I have a bag hanging on my bed right above my shoe rack. She starts ripping at my shoe rack. I'm sorry, she starts ripping at the straps on my bag. So that's when I know something is wrong. So I get off my bed, I walk over, turn on the light, and I say, hey, to my other roommate, I say, she says, I say, I think there's something wrong. So I say, that's my bag, Kimmy, is everything all right? She's ripping. Kimmy, that's my bag, is everything okay? This girl says, yeah, she says, I'm just trying to get it before it gets you, mumbling. And I'm like, it's going to get me. What's going to get me? Is everything okay? Ignoring me. Like, who wants to wake up in a pitch black to someone on their floor ripping at their shoe rack? But as y'all can see, the room is empty because somebody had to go. But I mentioned that because my roommate, who's a baby in Christ, had watched the Sinners movie, and she started crying. She started bawling. Like, she couldn't handle it. She was so fearful. She was so full of fear. And she talked to me about it. She was like, yeah, like, I want to be, like, not fearful like you. And I'm like, yes, I understand, but it's also the things you intake. Because she said that she was so scared because, like, she was breaking my stuff. Like, she was a vampire from the Sinners movie. And I'm like, you gotta be careful what you intake because it can really make you fearful. I have another story time about how I watched a 5-hour compilation of scary story times, and that same night I seen a woman appear in my window, look at me, and duck down. And I was about 15 years old at that time, too old to be sleeping in my parents' room, but I was in my mom's room for 2 weeks after that, scared to go to sleep. It's all because of what you intake. Like,
He actually told me that the devil was inside of me.
Baby girl, you need help. Yeah.
The long-awaited story time of my crazy psychotic roommate. For background information, I graduated in May of 23, so around like summer that time, I had posted on the Purdue's like Facebook, like where you meet like roommates and stuff on there, and we connected on there because like she has lost 2 of her parents and I lost 1 of mine, so we like thought we could connect like that. Then we go to school last year, perfectly fine. Like, we got along so good last year, like we were so close. And then jumped to this year, we weren't. First of all, I've had to call 911 on her. She not only went to the psych ward once, but twice. I had to deep clean the apartment probably over 20 times because she's absolutely disgusting. The cops showed up at my apartment, and I also, the last whole month of school, probably a little over the month, I either had to stay at my boyfriend's apartment or my best friend had to stay at our apartment. I never was at our apartment alone with her, only one night, and I had to put my dresser up against my door because she was still having hallucinations and people, like, voices in her head, and one day she was saying she was amped up, and I genuinely thought she was going to stab me, so... Okay, this isn't even, like, the crazy part, but, like, here's me having to send her pictures of, like, I said, why am I digging your mac and cheese out of the sink? I've had to send her pictures of a half-eaten cookie, like, on our coffee table, because why do you just leave a half-eaten cookie when the trash can's, like, 2 steps away? She's also, her and her friends would leave, like, pizza, like a pizza box open, there's pizza in there, and then there's pineapple on the ground. They would eat and go to bed, and then I'd be the one in the morning waking up, and it's disgusting. It's disgusting. Okay, so all that happens. I tell her we need to talk. She puts off us having to talk for like a week, and then eventually I talked to her about how she's being disgusting and messy, and I told her I don't care what your room looks like. Like, I would literally shut your door, even though her room was filthy. I said, I'll shut your door. I don't care what your room looks like. The bathroom, the kitchen, and the living room is what we take care of together. So let's keep that clean. She wanted to argue with me, of course, but then we eventually agreed on that. But that didn't change anything. She was still messy. Oh, let's also add the fact that I've gave her money for things, and she owes me like $35. Fast forward to Halloween, alright. I had been up until 3 a.m. the night before because I was working on homework, because it's Halloween weekend, so I want to make sure all my homework's done. She wakes me up early in the morning, yapping on the phone. Like, she doesn't have an inside voice, and she's like, oh my god, like, talking like that, okay? Made me very angry. I text her, I'm like, what are you yapping about at 9:40 to wake me up in the morning? She said, Jesus. Not Jesus like rude, like actual Jesus. Jesus is real, God is real. Okay. Oh, I forgot to add that the reason she was yapping so early in the morning on Halloween was because she had the dream that Satan took her and God saved her. So she had to call every single person on her contacts list and tell them. She said, yeah, God is literally in me and it's incredible and you can think I'm crazy, but I don't care. God is so real. She's also one of those people that she's like, this is how I am. I don't care what you think. That's how I am. And I'm like, I really don't care. Okay, and then she comes into my room and she's telling me all this and I was like, I'm not like saying anything like bad about like God and stuff. I'm like, my dad passed away. Like I talked to I talked to my dad and I talked to God. I pray all the time, and I was like, I have nothing against that. It's just the fact that you woke me up in the morning, like, that's no roommate respect. Like, I don't wake you up in the morning being loud when you sleeping until 1:30 in the afternoon. And as always, she is the person to wait until she leaves, and then has to text you about everything, about how she's mad at you, instead of just doing it face to face. Respectfully sorry for waking you up, but you don't get to tell me like that. That's the devil in you telling me to talk to me like that. She told me the devil was inside of me. I shouldn't have read these because they're just making me mad again. And I'm saying, okay, 1, don't say the devil's inside me, thanks. 2, you're taking what I said way out of proportion. It's literally was, like, you woke me up in the morning, that's just roommate respect. Like, I genuinely don't care if you were talking about a ladybug or dropping a drink. Don't be that loud. Like, that's just being disrespectful. That is the devil. I won't comment about this anymore. Go talk to your mom about it. Babe, I'm 19 years old. You're 21 and you're acting like a child. She also was acting like my mom wasn't gonna agree with me that she's crazy. She said we all have the devil in us at times, and your mom will know how to help you navigate this. I don't have that, so respectfully, I have Jesus, and I will talk about it wherever and whenever I want. I'll just go outside if it's early in the morning. And I said, why are you taking this out of proportion? She goes, because you hurt me, and I will tell you from now on when you hurt me. I never hurt her before. I just told her that she was messy and she needed to clean her stuff up. My words were, I've been saying I'm glad you found God. That's great. I'm very happy for you. I was just trying to get some extra hours of sleep. It was nothing personal like what you're intending. She told me it felt personal, that I was the bad guy and I need to go talk to my mom. In other words, it's not your place to tell me how to ever feel, so don't degrade my emotions. Did I tell you how to feel? No. So, Parents' Weekend at school rolls around, and it's Halloween, like the weekend of Halloween. And she's away with her friends at Bloomington, okay? The cops literally are banging on my door, asking me where she was because she sent a concerning email to a professor. Oh my gosh, it's so hard to get her to buy anything for the apartment, okay? It was her turn to buy toilet paper like 3 times in a row. And I told her my friend Chelsea had stole some from the dorm, so, like, can you get some on your way back? She's like, yes. And then she was like, I don't have time for this. I need to be alone. You're stressing me out. You're not meaning to, but you are. With so much grace, leave me alone. She told me to remind her of her dad. I don't know how to take that, but okay. This is the funny part. Girl, I'm ducking diabetic. I can't talk with you with grace right now because I genuinely don't understand you right now. She's not diabetic, actually. She was having hallucinations and people inside of her brain. She was not diabetic. My brother's diabetic, so I know exactly, like, how your sugar should be. She sends me this. Her sugar's 119. And you know what she says? It's medical. It's not you. Yeah, no, it's not me. You're crazy. I was like, 119 is a good number, blah, blah, blah. She's like, I don't need 911. Did I say you needed 911? Now, I hope y'all can see how much she likes to send, and I just don't reply because it's just way too much. I just can't with her. Then she was talking out of her wazoo because she was just saying the most random things to me in person at our apartment, and I knew something was going on because, 1, you just told me the devil was inside of me. 2, you're like God obsessed now, and it's not in a healthy way. And 3, oh my god, I wish I had videos of her right now. So yeah, comment if you guys want a part 2 because I will gladly give you one.
Come get ready for me to get fired. Okay, so basically, this is going to be like kind of a long thing, but I work for my school and I'm an RA, and I have been living with a crazy roommate the last few weeks. With this roommate, she has made false accusations against me multiple times, and due to me working for the school though, they believed her over me, which I think is crazy. But basically, some accusations against me were I was drinking and smoking in my apartment, and mind you, I'm also 20 years old. They also were that I had been having people live here, which is apparently what I'm getting fired for. With squatting, it means like someone's stayed the night for more than 6 nights, or they were completely living on campus with you. She also had a medical disability, and obviously I can't say like too much information on that, but she also claimed that I was like using it against her and making her feel unwelcome when I had all my friends over. She also was using the room that we're not technically supposed to use as well, but then she moved all her stuff out and then made a report against me to get me fired. So when you work for the school, you basically have to go through this process where they can pull you in for a hearing. So they pulled me in, and they pulled my best friend in for a hearing, and they claimed that we were dating. They claimed that we were sleeping together in the same room, but she was yet squatting in the other room, so that didn't make sense. They also claimed the reason why we were claiming to be together was because in one of my text messages to my roommate right now, I said that my best friend is my person and my best friend and the person I want to talk to, and they claimed that was the reason. This roommate also has previously told me she has had issues with roommates in the past. She also has asked where I've been, what I'm doing, who I'm with, when I'm going to be home, how this is like, why she needs to know all this stuff, which the reason was so stupid. It was like because of her medical disability, and she needed to be alone, but then she's living with other people. This roommate also stole things. She smoked, she drank, she went to parties all the time, and she told me these things, but because they were not on campus, I can't really report any of it. But she does have weed, I'm assuming, in her room. I just never knew for sure. Basically, when you work for the school, you like get free housing depending on what like department you work for. So, but you obviously have to like uphold all the rules. So I went to my hearing yesterday, and they gave me 2 violations for things that weren't even real. They also gave my best friend that was being accused of living here a violation, which also wasn't true because she hasn't been living here and she lives off campus. We just hang out a lot because we have been roommates the last few years. And I'm getting ready right now for not a hearing, but I have to go in with my boss and his boss to determine if I'm fired or not. But if you get a violation, you're fired, so I am clearly fired. My roommate also, on top of that, completely made all these reports against me, filed all these complaints, went in for a hearing, claimed all these things, and then moved out. Like, she is in a temp room, it's what it's called, so it's like temporary, and she completely moved out. But yeah, she had always had a ton of people over here also, which was crazy to me because she had people over here, but then when I wanted to have people over, I got a report made against me, and I'm getting fired. Okay, here is the final look. I just need my curls to set and like rest a little bit, so but here's the final look, and I'll give you guys an update after I have my meeting of what happens.
Guys, I got fired. I knew it was gonna happen, but I'm currently walking to my apartment, but things can be long, so guys, I'll keep you updated.
So I got into literally, I think, the biggest fight I've ever gotten into with my roommate last night. And I don't know if you can tell by these awful dark circles and under eye bags, but I literally got no sleep. And honestly, I want to talk about it because number one, I'm still so hurt and angry and upset that I just need to get it out. And also some of you might relate to having an awful roommate situation. And she's blocked on everything, by the way, so she's not going to see this. But my roommate, my girl roommate, I live with a couple, so her and her boyfriend, she is quite literally one of the most disrespectful and inconsiderate people I think I've ever met in my life. We have had problems in the past, but I have always obviously wanted a very peaceful and livable household. So when we have had issues in the past, we've been able to sit down and have been like, look, you know, this is what happened, and this is kind of like how it made me feel. Like, let's figure this out, basically. I don't want to live in a hostile environment, and I need fucking peace in my life. And I've just come to realize that this person is so deeply inconsiderate and probably so deeply miserable in her own existence as a human being that she can't live peacefully and she can't approach issues peacefully. Regardless of who it is that you live with, no two people are the same, okay? So you're gonna have different ways of living and things are just gonna come up in a roommate situation. And the way you communicate when these problems come up and the way you handle it says everything. Anyway, so I'm at work and she starts blowing up my fucking phone over an issue that could have been resolved had we had an in-person conversation and sat down. But instead, she literally fucking attacked me and said I've never been spoken to this way. Like the most disgusting, foul ass fucking language. My best friend and I have been friends for 8 years. We lived together previously for 3 years. We've gotten into some fights, okay? In any friendship, you're gonna have a fight. My best friend and I have never ever once spoken to each other this way or ever even remotely got as close to being as disrespectful as the way this bitch talked to me last night. When we all moved in together, we had the agreement that we were not going to do the like splitting food thing. Like, this is your food, this is my food. Basically, the agreement that we came to is if you ate something and you finish the last of it, you replace it, right? Understandable. And it's been this way for the last 6 months since we've all lived together. And so I ate and finished off the last of one of her snacks, reordered it. Literally, it arrived yesterday. And in this argument, this bitch had the audacity to say to me, you wouldn't have eaten all my food if you didn't have a raging eating disorder. Girl, what the fuck? Literally, who talks to somebody like who says something like that to a person? Especially when when we've had conversations at length about my history of disordered eating. Also, I don't know if you can hear their dog screaming his head off in the back, but every time they leave him, their dog does this and howls for hours and barks his head off. Anyway, what transpired after this conversation was basically the both of them trying to essentially intimidate me and bully me out of moving out of my own fucking house, which is not gonna happen, okay? I paid a fat ass deposit to move into this beautiful big home. And now she wants to like act like a fucking victim. And she's like, oh, we're being, now we have to live together against our own will. She wants to act like a victim in a problem she created. And the situation has me so upset and so angry. But I've also realized, like, how sad for her. Like how sad that a grown-ass fucking adult has, number one, 0 communication skills, 0 conflict resolution skills, and is so deeply heinous and foul and just an outright fucking mean girl. Like, you're a mean girl at 27? Gross. And I deeply believe that people like this and who she is her own karma. And it sucks that I have to live with this evil bitch for 6 more months, but it is what it is.
Okay, I know that everybody thinks that they've had the worst roommate ever, but like, I truly promise you, I have had the worst roommate on the entire planet. This is like a 4-year story, so it might be a couple parts. Bear with me, I swear I will make it as short as possible. So I'm hanging out with this group of like fraternity guys, and one of them is dating this girl, and they end up like breaking up. It was a super nasty breakup. She gets blacklisted. Everybody's like, she's absolutely crazy. Who cares? I don't know this girl. But I do know her name. So like a year later, I'm really desperate to move out of my parents' house. I'm on Facebook looking up places to live. I find this place. I don't recognize the girl. I'm like, okay, whatever. I've lived with strangers before. No big deal. So I go over there to look up. Guess who opens the door? Crazy ex-girlfriend. I'm like, that's weird. Like, she was under a different name, but like maybe she changed her name. I don't know. So I'm talking to her. She seems normal. The apartment is nice. The room's really cheap. She tells me that she's married now. She got married to this guy within 5 months. They were dating for 5 months and got married. I'm like, that's kind of weird, but whatever. I'll live with a couple if it's cheap rent. So I move in. Everything's dandy. Like a month after I moved in, she's all of a sudden telling me that her and her husband are getting divorced now, or getting it annulled because they haven't even been married long enough for it to count. And then she's telling me about how he's like crazy and abusive and is trying to break into our apartment, so she has to change all the locks. And I've met this guy and like he seemed totally normal, but like obviously you don't know with guys, so I'm gonna believe the girl in this situation. She's my roommate. So far she has a totally different name. She married a guy after 5 months, and now they're getting divorced a month after I move in, and she's saying that he's crazy and abusive. So crazy guy disappears out of our lives. It's just me and the 2 other girls in the apartment for like a year, and honestly everything was chill. Like I would catch this girl lying about the weirdest things. Like she would tell everybody that she couldn't drink because she was anemic and it made her really sick, but yet I would literally sit and watch her drink alcohol all the time. And like things would be moved around in my bedroom, but like I didn't really care. And there's so much more weird stuff this girl did that I just can't remember at all. But then crazy girl decides she's gonna get 2 cats, and these cats are like abused, like completely in our apartment. Like she never spends time with them. Their litter boxes are never clean. Our apartment starts to stink so bad because like they're peeing and pooping everywhere. They're throwing up all over the place. They have goop coming out of their eyes. And I keep telling her like, Riley, it stinks in here. It really stinks in here. Like, could you do something about it? And she's like, I'm so sorry. Like, I'll fix it. I'll fix it. It never does anything to fix it. The smell got to be so bad that I literally had to move my clothes and everything to my boyfriend's house. I had to do all of my laundry there. I had to change there because like my clothes just smelled like pure cat pee and poop. Like everybody was telling me that. It was so embarrassing. My boyfriend could not come and visit me because he would literally open the door to my apartment and start vomiting like over the stairwell next to my door. Then I go through like this whole 2-week mental breakdown where like I should have been in a psych ward, honestly. And I was like, I can't live this like anymore. Like I have to leave. So me and the other girl that were living there were like, we have to go. Like we found better places to live. We never told her it was because of her stinky cats. We were very nice about it and just said we found a better place to go. We do all the paperwork to get off the lease. Not 1 time, but 2 times did we do the paperwork to get off the lease. So I think I'm off the lease. I guess I'll do a part 2 if this gets any views.
My roommate tried to ruin my life, so I ruined hers instead. Story time. So a few months ago, I moved into this amazing apartment with a new roommate. She seemed super chill. One time she baked a load of cookies for our neighbours, but over time things really started to switch. There was little things like she'd borrow my clothes without asking, she'd eat my food out of the fridge, and when I called her out on it, she'd act like it wasn't a big deal. Didn't want to rock the boat too much at the start, so I let all of these things slide. Then one night I come home to a letter taped to our front door. A very official looking letter. It was a letter, it was a notice from our landlord saying violations of lease agreement. I'm like, what violations, babe? And if it carried on, I'd be evicted. So when I asked Amy about it, she was super confused. She was like, I've got no idea what that's about. But this is when the landlord called me directly. He said that he was getting complaints about really loud parties. There was a lot of damage caused to the common areas. Now, none of which I knew anything about, nor was I involved in. This is when I started to pay attention. I looked at when these reports were being made. It was every time I would be out of the house. Amy was throwing these absolute rages, pretending that they were my parties. One night I stayed at a friend's house and I went onto Amy's Instagram and saw all of these tagged pictures with my flat looking like an absolute shithole. Beer bottles everywhere, broken glass, literally the works. And guess who was tagged in the pictures? Amy and me. Like, hang on a damn sec, I wasn't even there. I confronted Amy about this and she went full-blown gaslight mode. She was like, oh, those pictures are old. You must have forgotten you were there. No, Amy, I wasn't even in the city. That's not even the worst part. Fast forward a few weeks, I get another notice. And it was that, again, I was being asked to leave due to violating the lease and that Amy was the one that had filed the complaint. An official complaint, might I add. She'd claimed I was throwing parties, I was damaging property. She even mentioned that I'd been stealing her stuff, wearing her clothes without permission. Does this sound familiar? I was losing my mind at this point. It's when I decided I'd literally had enough. I went through all of the security footage in the lobby, in the common areas, the hallways, in the lift. Something she clearly did not think about when she was filing all these complaints. And guess what? The tapes showed her doing everything that she accused me of doing. And there was even a couple of little clips of her doing some funky stuff with another lad in the lift. So I took all of this, printed the pictures out from Instagram, and I confronted her with it. She absolutely lost it, screaming that I was going to ruin her life, that I didn't know what it was like to let loose. Anyway, I said, listen, you can get in touch with the landlord if you want. She refused to do. So I got in touch with the landlord, you know? So not only did Amy get evicted, right? She got blacklisted from renting in any other property in our city because of the amount of damage that she caused. And yeah, she ended up paying every single cent back. So Amy tried to ruin my life, but now she's the one sofa surfing. No apartment and no credibility. Do you think I went a little bit too far and was I too harsh?
Tell me your crazy roommate story, I'll go first. My roommate killed my dog. It's been 2 years since this happened and I feel like I'm finally ready to talk about it. I'm gonna keep this long story short. There was this girl that I met. Multiple guys told me to watch out for her, but you know, some girls are just boy crazy, but they could be a really good friend, and so I gave this girl the benefit of the doubt. She was my closest friend at the time and we were getting close really fast, so I was like, why don't we just live together? Biggest mistake of my life. Now, before I go into details, I just want everybody to know that I have everything in writing, on video, or 10 million people plus witness. It all started off with like little things. Like I really wanted to half pipe search for houses that had big backyards so I can put it like half pipe in the backyard. And then when it finally came around to me buying the half pipe, she would yell at me saying that she didn't want it, even though she knew the whole time that we were looking for houses. And she has a cat, and everybody knows that cat is very low maintenance. They can be in one room and they will literally be fine. I just knew that she did not like me having a dog around her cat for some reason. She even told me one time my dog should be locked away in my room at all times because her cat needs to roam the house. Girl, it's a cat. Moving in before, she didn't tell me any of this. I'm learning this living with her. We had a 4-bedroom house, and one of the bedrooms wasn't being used at all. So my best friend Alex was like, oh, can I move in? Oh, I don't see an issue with that, but you need to go ask my roommate to make sure she's okay with that. And I hear a bang at my door, and she's scream crying, being like, why the fuck would you put me in this situation? You should have told her no. I was like confused. He's like, now I look like the shitty friend for saying no. I'm like, dude, I bet you she doesn't even care. And Alex really did not care at all. She would do little things like turn the temperature at 49 degrees. Our utility bill would come out to $3,000. My two friends were standing there. They were just like, dude, it's freezing. Please turn it up. I'm like, please do not touch it, because I'm like fearing for my life. And then Nat's like, oh no, she won't be. Let me just turn it up one. She turns it up 2 notches. I think it went to 51 degrees. 3 seconds later, she runs in, bursts on my door, and she's like, who's touching the thermometer? My friends literally were jaw dropped because they thought I was joking. She dated my best friend, who I call brother because that's how close we are. All of a sudden, I'm in the bath, and she runs in. She's like, I need your help. He is having a seizure panic attack in my backyard. Eyes the rolled back of his head, that when he comes out of it, he's just like, it just stressed me out so much that my body went into shock. When I asked her about it later on, she said, oh, it's not my fault he has mental issues. Girl, just one time where I asked her to clean up her dishes after herself because I don't cook. She didn't talk to me for 3 days. That one time I was getting my makeup done and my makeup artist came over. She got so pissed. She took her car and crashed into her car. Keep in mind, everything I'm saying is on video. She came in and blamed the makeup artist. Another time where I asked her to take out the trash, and she got so mad because her name is on the utilities bill. She literally turned off the Wi-Fi and the hot water for a whole week, and she went to the gym because she was that mad at me. Came home one time to the handle ripped off my door and stuff moved around in my bedroom. She literally broke into my room. This one time where I woke up to her literally throwing glass items at my door saying God doesn't love you over and over again, and you just hear in the background of the video of shit just shattering. I had a Friendsgiving with 20 friends show up. I literally asked her, I have a Friendsgiving. She said yes. The day that the Friendsgiving comes around, about 2 hours before, she decides that she does not want a Friendsgiving there, and she already bought all the food. I have 20 people that already bought food too and that are coming over. We're having it. Like, I'm sorry, we are already having it. In the heat of her being mad, she left all of her food on the table, like dirty dishes and stuff of where I need to put the stuff. I go, do you mind cleaning this up because I have so much to do today? She gets 10 times more mad for me asking. All the 20 people arrive, she decides to come out of her room. She screams on the top of her lungs, being like, Dana, you're a cunt, you're a bitch, you're an asshole, you're a girl with a little brain. In front of all these people. And I remember my friends were there being like, calm down, hey, and she's like, fuck you, and then starts cussing out all of my friends, which are also like kind of her friends too. Like, I am calling the cops. And then runs out the door and slams the door, and we're all like, what? She runs back inside and starts screaming, being all like, thanks to you, you got us kicked out of our house. Apparently, she called the landlord, because I called them the next day, scream crying at them. They said that they don't feel comfortable with us living there anymore. Got us kicked out of our own house, which cost us $14,000. And I have never gotten a panic attack in my life, and I literally had 3 of them while living with her. There was multiple times where I tried to have sit-down civil conversations with her. I even got her to go to therapy one time because I actually wanted to help. And when she went to therapy, she literally told me, oh, I'm better than a therapist, they can't help me. And I knew I was fucked. So now about my dog. I don't want to go into too many details, only because this was very traumatic for me and I don't want to cry. I literally have lost 6 of my closest friends. My 2-year-old puppy passing away was as hard as that. And I come home to my dog dead in his cage, running in, scream crying, throwing buckets of water on him, doing everything that I could. And that dog was also Alex's dog too. Her rushing into the house and like coming there, and Emmy came, and it was very traumatic, and Emmy called emergency vet. 2 days before, my dog peed on her rug, flipped out and was like, I don't want this dog here anymore. I can't deal with it. Just a dog. I will come clean it. I will pay you however much the rug is. As we're laying there scream crying, my roommate walks in the door and goes, I am just not dealing with this. All of my friends came over and got like balloons, food, like his favorite thing was a football. Made this whole like shrine for him inside my living room where his cage would sit. So hard for me every single day to get out of bed. Not even a couple of days later, text me, hey, I feel like it would be so much better for you if we like get rid of the cage and finally put that bookshelf there. Find out that my dog died from rat poisoning. My dog didn't leave the house ever, only when in our backyard. Everybody was getting like worried and was like, dude, your roommate did it. Never fully gonna pin that on her, but there were just too many coincidences. Regardless, she did everything else that she did. Still scares me to this day. I mean, y'all can decide if you think she did it or not. After I moved out, I literally blocked her on everything. I haven't seen her since because she's also a social media influencer and gets invited to some of the same events. But luckily, I have never seen her. One of my best friends that literally was not involved at all at a party one time and saw my roommate literally just shoved her. That's not the full detail of any of those stories. If you want a part 2, please let me know.
I always used to see videos that are like, don't move in with your friends, like it'll ruin your friendship. And I never believed it because I moved in with my closest friends and we were going good. Like literally no fights, no arguments about living together for a whole year. Until everybody decided that it would be smart for me to be the last person to find out that one of our friends and roommate hadn't been paying her rent in months because she was paying her parents' rent. Like, no shade. You could have moved out if you knew you were going to be paying the rent. I mean, all shade. Why the fuck you ain't move out? Like, oh, that's noble. You're paying your parents' rent. Bitch, what about ours? Like, and even then I was still trying to be sympathetic because this was my real life friend. I go and talk to her about it. I don't care. I know I should care, but I don't. I would do it 100 times over. If I had $1 million tomorrow, I would give it all to my parents and not to our other friend whose mom you owe thousands of dollars. You what? My main point in being mad at her, we're supposed to be friends. You couldn't tell me my rent was going up hundreds of dollars. I asked her that. Her response to me was, my rent is personal to me. We are paying the same rent. We're paying rent for the same motherfucking house. Like, I don't really get it. Like, I'm paying the same amount you're supposed to be paying, and I'm paying the same amount that the person whose name is on the lease is putting in as well. They aren't paying the whole fucking rent. I mean, they started paying half once they started paying her bum ass rent. But we pay the same amount, so how the fuck is that not my business? And then the craziest thing is this bitch had money that she could have been sending to the person who's on the lease that was putting up rent for her. The person told her, send me any amount that you can. This bitch sent a whopping total of 0 in that, but was getting her braids done, getting her toes done, eating out every motherfucking day, but is trying to be a culinary chef. How the fuck that work, bitch? Everything just didn't line up. So, I guess moral of this motherfucking story is, fuck Cancer women. Get the fuck away from me. If you are a Cancer woman or man, I swear to God, I will... Oh, I'm about to change my motherfucking name to I hate cancers. Not just men and women.
Get ready with me while I tell you the story time about how my old roommate got us evicted from our apartment, part 1. I'm done people pleasing and not sharing stories about things that have happened to me because I'm trying to protect them. I am notoriously way too nice to people that have screwed me over, but that era is over, especially considering the fact that I am still out thousands of dollars from this situation. So this roommate decided that with at least 4 months left of our lease together, they were going to move out early and just move across the country. At the beginning of that summer, I was in New York for a brand deal with one of my friends whose birthday it also was that week. And I was just in a taxi with them on the way to their birthday dinner, and I had gotten a text from my roommate saying they were leaving within the next month. I was pretty pissed that they decided to tell me this over text because I was going to be home the next day, which you really can't just do when you're in a lease. Our lease also doesn't allow sublets, so the reason why I didn't like lose my mind upon them telling me this was because they said that their brother was going to be paying the rest of their rent. So I was like, okay, well, sure, go do whatever you need to go do for your mental health if LA is really just not the place for you. They're swearing up and down, left and right that their brother's going to be paying the rest of this rent. I have nothing to worry about, so obviously I think I have nothing to complain about, you know, let them do their thing. Our final month of us living together, they were about like 6 days late to pay me rent. Like if they're already being late to pay you rent while they're still in front of your face, what is going to happen when they're on the other side of the country? They end up only paying me half of the rent for a majority of that month, and they paid me like the rest of the rent towards the end of that month, and it was like a force to get that month's rent from them. So now it's the day that they're supposed to move out, and I am just deep down inside very nervous about this. They leave, and obviously things immediately go to shit. They stop answering me as much. They're taking so long to send any amount of money for rent that they owed that month. I don't get why this is so difficult if you said your brother's just gonna pay your rent. Like, where is this money? This is where it gets really good. Now it's the last month of our rent. All of a sudden, they tell me that their brother can no longer pay their rent because he just ran into some financial hardship, which I just didn't believe, which I had a lot of reasons for. They're telling me that they're gonna ask their parents or grandparents for help with the rent. Then they started to say that because of the global you-know-what, there's a rent forgiveness still going on, which I didn't think was true because this was a while ago at this point. Like, I don't know why they would still be forgiving late rent now. I just don't think that this person was even telling their family what they were doing to me. We're now 8 days late into paying our rent, and they keep telling me that they're gonna call the office and talk to them about it. I actually just went back in my camera roll right now and found out that the second to last month of this lease, they didn't ever pay me the full amount for. So they were already owing me that. Now they owe me the last month of rent. I'm not kidding. It is a battlefield to try and get them to answer me and send me any money, even $100. Our building was already emailing us constantly being like, where is the money? Because we're 8 days late, blah, blah, blah. They're telling me to just pay my portion of the rent to the building, which you also couldn't do. You had to pay all of it in full. This text is really important because they say you're not going to get evicted. And then also I crop this message because they just go off about how they think I have no brain cells because I'm an influencer and how I must not know how not paying rent works and that you can get away with it. A couple days after that, they tell me that they're gonna call the building and talk to them. I'll be able to continue living my life as normal. Now, it's Labor Day weekend, so I go back home to Boston for like a week to visit my family and see some of my friends. And then I was also planning on going to New York for a couple days for New York Fashion Week, which I'd never been to before, but I had a lot of people telling me I needed to go. I secure a brand deal with like Margaritaville Times Square to stay in their hotel, and I invite one of my friends to come stay with me too. I get to New York, my friend gets there too. We're both kind of like, we don't know why we're here. We just feel like we have no business being there, but I had this person that was trying to be my manager at the time tell me that if I went, I was gonna be able to get into all these events with them, blah, 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 blah. So I get to New York, I text them. They tell me that they actually decided they're not even going to New York Fashion Week. And then one of my other friends who told me that they were gonna get me into a ton of events told me that they didn't think that they could actually get me into anything. My friend and I are sitting being like, what are we gonna do for the next 4 days? I wake up the next morning, I pack all of my stuff, I'm ready to get on my flight back to LA 4 days early because I had changed my flight, and then I last minute get a text from a friend saying that they want to invite me to an event that they're doing that night, and I'm like, okay, I either go to the airport and fly to LA or go to Boston. I decided to go back to Boston and go to this event. Have the best time ever, wake up the next day at my friend's house, and I'm like, fuck. Should I actually fly back out to LA today, or should I just cancel my flight and go back home because my house is 45 minutes away? I also knew that the second that I went back to LA, I would have to start nagging my roommate again because they hadn't given me an update since they told me they were gonna call the office, and now we're in the middle of September. I decide I should probably just go back to LA and be an adult. Get to the airport, I sit down on my flight, and all of a sudden, I just have this feeling that something is about to go wrong. Like, something is terribly wrong right now. It's just the middle of September now, and my apartment building just wasn't really chasing us down for rent anymore. So I texted my roommate and I was like, hey, did you talk to the leasing office yet? Of course that flight has no Wi-Fi. I go to sleep for the entirety of the flight. I have no idea if my roommate has answered me. We land, my roommate never texted me back. I'm still in my seat on this flight and I'm like, I have to get back to my apartment right now. I just know something's wrong. Now, keep in mind, it's Monday. I was supposed to be in New York until at least Thursday or Friday. I also had canceled my entire Margaritaville hotel brand deal because the vibes in New York were just off. Like, I knew in my soul that I had to go back to LA all these days early. My Uber drops me off at my apartment building and I am sprinting down the hallways to get to my apartment door. All of a sudden, I turn the corner and I can see my unit now, and in clear as day view is a white envelope sticking out of my apartment door. That's not where mail goes. Mail goes downstairs. I've never had mail stuck in my door ever before. I start hysterically crying and I open up the letter, and it is in fact an eviction letter. It's 10 p.m. right now too, by the way. We have 3 days to pay rent or all of our things are getting seized and we're getting evicted. This letter was left in the door 2 days ago. It was about to be day 3 in 2 hours. They sent no emails about this. They didn't call either of us. This was just in the fucking door. I wasn't supposed to be home for another 5 days. 5 fucking days. I would have come home to nothing. Nothing. And an eviction tied to my name and my credit for the rest of my fucking life. Oh my God. I had no choice but to pay all of our rent right then and there because we had 2 hours left to pay this. You can pause and read this, but I'm obviously losing my mind. I'm a hysterical mess. I wake my mom and my aunt up, calling them hysterically crying because they already knew the issues that I was having with this person the past few months. Because I'm too fucking nice to people. Oh my god. They text me back so late the next day about the eviction letter, and they don't give a flying fuck. They don't send me a dime. A few days go by, I realize this situation is not getting better anytime soon because they just don't care that they're doing this to me and making me pay all of this. So I end up calling their grandparents because their grandparents had emailed me a few months ago on my business email asking me to tell them to text them back. So I called them, told them what was going on. They obviously had no idea this was ever a situation, and they actually told me that they were not allowed to help this person anymore. So I was kind of just on my own, but they would talk to their parents about it, but they think that they're done helping this person because I guess they've been doing this to so many people for years. And then I started hearing from ex-friends and shit like, fuck, why didn't anyone fucking give me a warning? And how do you do this to someone and not care? How do you not talk to them in years after this? I only got $100 a couple times from them throughout like the course of 6 months, and that's it. I haven't heard from them since.